And the co-moderator today is Dr. Carl Fowles. He's our VP of Professional Development, and he has really had a very profound year in special programming and programming. So we're really proud of all of that. So next week, we're going to start a group mentor coaching program. And when we reached out to Laura Atwood, she goes, why didn't you have a panel before? And I thought, wow, that's a brilliant idea. So Laura, thank you. And you'll have plenty of opportunity to ask questions. And you can just unmute yourself, and we'll keep an eye on that, and you can ask questions. So today we have Carrie Doubts. She's a PCC. She's logged over 250 hours of mentor coaching, and so far 100% of her coaches that she mentored have received their credentials. She's also a member of the internal review board with the ICF and participates in the ethical conduct review process. So when we get the 10 coaches for the group mentor coaching program, Carrie is going to focus on that ethical process. And so that's going to be very exciting there. And then we have Laura Atwood, MCC, and she's a past president of ICF Phoenix. And she's been training, certifying, and mentoring coaches for almost 2 decades. And she serves as the president of the local branch for Adler Learning USA based here in Phoenix. And then Melanie, she's a PCC, and she works with Rice University's globally renowned Your Institute for New Leaders. And she helped start up their mentor coaching program. And her methodology is interactive and thought-provoking to deepen the learning of students who want to move in to get their ACC. So welcome everybody. We're so excited that you're here. Thank you. So Laura, we're going to kick off the conversation here with you. Okay. And other than ticking the box that somebody had their mentor coaching, what do you see that coaches get from mentor coaching? And give us some examples.
Sure. And just to note, checking that box is important because we want to uphold the quality of the profession. So that's not just a formality. There's a reason behind it. But people get a lot out of mentor coaching, and it varies, of course, from individual to individual and cohort to cohort, because it's an emergent process. But typically I see coaches coming away with great clarity about what to do and not to do based on the PCC markers, which brings a lot of relief, right? Because, there's so much guessing, sort of seat of the pants work that goes on. I also find myself doing a lot of myth busting, because people bring these stories in their head about what you should and shouldn't do as a coach. And so there are lots of misconceptions around that. So we can help people relieve themselves of some of those burdens. I also see lots of ahas about how to coach clients at a much, much deeper transformative level, which ups the value proposition for the coachees and creates a greater sense of contribution by the coaches and assuredness for going out and presenting their services. So it builds confidence too, to be able to see that. Lots more courage and know-how and how to handle some of the things that coaches worry about. Things like, oh, should I interrupt? That always comes up in every cohort, and how do I do that? When they're just like this, when the client's going on and on. What to do when there's strong emotions present, and when somebody feels stuck because they don't know what to say. But one of the biggest things that I think that people come away from, that I see over and over and over, is a greater sense of, oh, I've been making this so much harder than it needs to be. When people come to understand what it really means, for instance, to really partner with the client and let them take more of the responsibility for the work. That shifts things dramatically. So lots and lots of takeaways.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. And, you know, you have an opportunity to get into a group mentor coaching program or an individual. So a friend of mine went the group route and I went the individual route. And so Melanie, can you tell us what are the pros and cons of group versus individual mentor coaching?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. So I've had the opportunity, I work with Rice University, and we have an ICF accredited coach training program for professionals. We work with MD Anderson as well. And so some students, and these are, you know, adults like you, not necessarily Rice students, but they want to deepen their learning and really enjoy that cohort, you know, that facilitated learning in a group. And as you may or may not know, when you do the group route, it's 10 hours of coaching, of mentor coaching, but 6 or 7 hours of that is within the group. But you do also have 3 hours of one-on-one coaching as well. So it's kind of a hybrid of both. So that's one of the benefits of doing the group coaching route is you do get both. Obviously, you're learning in a group setting, so there's an opportunity for us to do a lot of breakouts and group exercises. Obviously, group learning deepens the ability to observe other people coaching, to get feedback. I do find, however, that the only drawback I would say that I'm finding, we're trying to figure out how we tweak this, and I'd be interested to hear what Laura and Carrie say, is I feel like sometimes because these are still newbie coaches and they're learning all of the skills, that they tend to help each other when they're in the client mode. So if, you know, we're seeing a coach observation, it's almost like they're helping each other take themselves through the process. So we're trying to figure out how we kind of play around with that and maybe bring in some external clients to actually coach within the group mentor session. And as far as the individual, obviously they're not getting that group dynamic, but what we are able to do is obviously get a little deeper into some skill building in areas where they feel like they're needing to really work. We obviously get much more time for us because it's 10 hours of one-on-one for us to debrief coaching sessions with real clients. So, you know, these are real clients that we're not obviously helping each other. So, and I think there's a little bit more vulnerability in terms of where they're feeling stuck and where they're feeling, you know, not sure. And I'm able, hopefully, to be an advocate and really kind of lean into their strengths and maybe just give them 1 or 2 watch outs for them to focus on, you know, moving out of the mentor coaching sessions.
So thank you. So Carrie or Laura, do you have any insight on how the coaches have a tendency to help each other?
That's a great observation, you know, and in my groups, I have not seen that as much because I've actually really asked them to bring something that's real and that's got some juice to it emotionally into their client time. And I found in my groups that they really get into what it is they're being coached about. And they do bring forward some really great challenges for the coaches during the time. But you're right, it's like watching out for that tendency to name their learnings and you know, sort of coach the coach along. That's really something to look forward for. And yet at the same time, there's so many benefits to what I call coaching in a fishbowl, where you know, you're coaching somebody on something that's absolutely real for them. And at the same time, it brings up a little bit of nervousness, you know, in the coach. But that I always help them reframe that that's not a bad thing. It's just an indication that you're really sincere about this and you want to put your best foot forward. So it's just that self-management of your own nerves while you're coaching in front of a room is great experience for the coaches.
Yeah, thank you. Laura, anything to add?
Yeah, I would ditto what Carrie said. I've certainly seen that in my group mentor coaching, that the clients bring very real issues and make themselves quite vulnerable with the group. And so they're genuinely in that stuck place that they truly need help with. So yeah, coaches know the process and they lean into it without even thinking about it, which can make it a little bit easier, but they're still quite genuine. I also sometimes in my groups invite, so typically my mentees have the choice of to do it, what Carrie referred to as fishbowl coaching, or they can send an actual recorded session with one of their actual clients for us all to review in advance and then discuss. So there's a mix of learning typically that's available there.
Thank you. Thank you. So Carrie, what should we look for in a mentor coach?
Well, it's such a great question. I'm glad someone asked it. You know, my sense is, if it were me, and this is what I was looking for at the time, I would want somebody who had had some training and supervision and certification in mentor coaching, because it is its own skill set. I think just to say, well, I'm a good coach, I could mentor, without that training and the in-depth work of really learning what helps coachees really get what they need from the mentor coaching, I think is a plus. So I would ask about that. Are you certified as a mentor coach? Did you receive additional training as a mentor coach? I would also, you know, one of the things we never want to say that we guarantee that you're going to pass your ICF credential, you know, the competency, the performance evaluation. But I would ask about what is your pass rate, because rather than a guarantee, this is fact. So, you know, you could ask, what is your pass rate in terms of the coaches that have gone for their certification? And if you get something in the 85 to 100% range, you're dealing with somebody who has demonstrated skill in helping people get the mastery that they are looking for to pass their exams. And I would look at experience also. How long has this mentor coach been mentor coaching? How many hours do they have? So these are great questions to ask someone. And I do recommend that people do, you know, do some research and ask around. Also, the ICF has some really good information on their website, and I'm going to drop into the chat box right now. See if I can get this done while yeah, there we go. There you go. So if you click on this link that I put in the chat box, on that page, it's about mentor coaching. There, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's this mentor coach duties and competencies page, and it's a download, so you can, that's the one. That's what Laura's holding up right now. I've got my copy too. This is really excellent. This really spells out what you should be looking for in terms of the duties, the personal traits that you would want to look for in a mentor coach, and also the competencies of a mentor coach. So ICF, again, really has you covered in helping you determine what's going to be the best fit for you in going through their credentialing process.
I'd like to just interject here. You'd mentioned, Carrie, in the certification process and talking about mentor coaching, and also you mentioned supervision. I would just like to ask, Laura, what's the difference between mentor coaching and supervision?
So they're distinct, but sort of overlap. And what that means is, and first I'll give the ICF definition of each. So ICF defines mentor coaching as coaching and feedback in a collaborative, appreciative, and dialogue process based on an observed or recorded coaching session to increase the coach's capability in coaching in alignment with the ICF core competencies. So it's observation and feedback on coaching. So that's a fairly narrow definition. But the coaching supervision definition they give is a collaborative learning practice to continually build the capacity of the coach through reflective dialogue for the benefit of both coaches and clients. So notice that's a much bigger bucket, so to speak. So coaching supervision can include some mentor coaching, but mentor coaching excludes much of what is included in coaching supervision. So in mentor coaching, it's designed to boost your skill level and bring you up to consistently coach at the level of credential competency that you're going for. Whereas supervision creates space for things like discussion of ethical concerns and developing the being of the coach, looking at qualities of self-confidence and the personal insecurities that get in the way, helping the mentee or the supervisee, I should say, to look at their relationships with their coachees and notice patterns that might be getting in the way. And it's a safe space to try out new ideas and challenge the supervisee. And there's a little room for some business development discussion, that kind of thing. And a lot of supervisors use what's called the 7-eyed approach, which looks at coaching interactions from 7 different perspectives to get an all-around look at what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know, I'm an MCC and I'm coaching in a company that was just spinning me. So I engaged a coach supervisor because I'm like, but thank you for that, Laura. And then Melanie, what about mentor coaching as far as what else to look for in a mentor coaching? Did you have something there?
Yeah, I wanted just to share, you know, working with Rice, it's a research university and we research everything very thoroughly. And it's really interesting when we've done research on the mentor coaches that have been more successful than less. One of the overwhelming pieces of feedback that we've gotten is those mentor coaches that will give, that are comfortable giving difficult feedback. So we have found that there are some mentor coaches that it's more about affiliation and support, and that is certainly important, but being able to be, you know, somewhat, you know, direct and provide that challenging feedback, I think is important too. So just making sure that, you know, you find a mentor coach who will tell you when things are not right in the ICF world for getting your certification.
I agree. One of my mentees nicknamed me the Velvet Hammer.
Exactly.
We need that, right? We need that
Absolutely.
Formative feedback that helps us get to the next level.
Yeah.
And I also just wanted to say, you know, that document about mentor coaching duties and competencies, that actually came out of ACTO back when I was president of ACTO. And it was because we were having these conversations. ACTO is the organization of coach trainers around the world. And we were having conversations about what we were noticing because we were accredited schools, we were doing our own examinations, and what made a difference in the pass rate of our students on their exams. And one of the biggest differences was whether they engaged, because you can hire somebody who's just a coach at the level that you're seeking. But we saw that the students who engaged people who were on faculty or had gone through a mentor coaching certification program were having a much higher pass rate, because there is a very distinct difference between being a great coach and being a great mentor coach. Because the mentor coaches have been trained to notice and address the nuances and expression of the competencies, and to teach and demonstrate that to the mentees, whereas others know it by the seat of their pants but can't necessarily pick it up and communicate it as well.
Yes, and thank you. And you know, one thing, ICF Global has a list of mentor coaches, and you just pay. You can say I'm a mentor coach, and you pay ICF to be on that list. And so that's why it is so important to interview, just like what we were hearing from the panelists here today, to have that conversation and know that doesn't mean that they're the best just because they paid to be on the list.
Right.
So now
They
let's
don't
open.
vet. Yeah, they don't vet those people.
They
Yeah.
don't
No,
get
that's
the
right.
I don't
yeah.
even go on the list just for that reason. So,
Right.
Okay.
yeah.
So let's open it up. Who has questions? And feel free to just unmute yourself and ask any questions of any of our coaches here.
Hi, Connie, this is Kirsten, and I'm sorry for the cheaping that just started on the fire smoke detector behind me, so sorry about that. But my question is there any difference between mentor coaching at the pre-ACC level, the recurring ACC credential level, the pre-PCC level? Does mentor coaching change at the different levels?
Yeah, it actually does. We're looking for different the markers for each of the skill levels for ACC to PCC, for ACC renewals. They're slightly different. And you know, in my work, I do differentiate and give people the feedback that's appropriate for the level that they're going for. So that is part of the contracting part that we do with people. What credential are you going for? And we tailor our feedback to that credential level, because you know, MCC is going to be very different from ACC and so on.
Yep.
And I handle it a little bit differently. I want to know what level of credential that somebody's going for. I want to understand where they're coming from. And at the same time, I mentor mixed groups, and I believe in what I call sprinkling people with nuances. So in my experience, I see even ACC level people picking up on the kinds of feedback that I would give to somebody seeking an MCC level credential, so that accelerates their path toward mastery. So when they can get it when it's explained and demonstrated in a certain way. So that can advance them more quickly. So
I would just add, I only am working with people who are going for their ACC, just from my vantage point. However, I've been trained in the PCC markers through ICF. So I will absolutely, because I feel like I want to elevate them. Look, this is fine for ACC, but for PCC, and I know you can do it, I want to let them know the difference in terms of, you know, the interrupting or the stacking questions or some of those issues there. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. The PCC markers are very helpful at every level, I think.
Definitely.
Hi, this is James. I have a question. Last month in one of the sessions we had, someone shared a picture, a very spaghetti flow chart of the whole process to get credentialed. So my question is, where does mentor coaching happen in that process?
Who wants to? You mean to get your ACC, James?
Yeah, I'm just going to get started in January, so I just want to get an idea in my head of where would this 10 hours or this whole process we're talking about fit in that.
Well, you need to have your 10 hours completed before you can apply for your ACC.
Right, but it typically, would you agree that it happens after your training, typically?
Yes.
Yes.
So you would have your 60 hours of training, and then you would have your 10 hours of mentor coaching.
Gotcha. That's what I was looking for. So if I start in January and finish in May, the mentor training happens after that, say June on, and then through
There
the
you
hours.
go.
Got it. Okay.
And some of the ACT, the accredited coach training programs out there, they build their mentor coaching into the program. So they introduce it at the appropriate time in your training, but it is built into, you know, also getting your credential from that coach training institute and they're setting you up to be ready to apply for that ACC level. So it kind of depends on your coach training program.
Okay.
James,
perfect.
are you in a program that includes mentor coaching, or would that be an add-on?
I need to, now that I'm aware that that's an option, I need to find that out. Because I haven't actually signed up for one yet. I'm just looking into them right now.
Okay. Yeah, Rise, we used to have it be just the training, and then you had to do the 10 hours as separate. Now everyone wants to do it, so we just add it in.
Okay.
People appreciate that, so.
Great.
You want to have at least a basic 30 hours of training under your belt before you start with mentor coaching. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have that foundation built yet.
Sure.
Exactly. Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What other questions for the panelists?
It is fun.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
It is.
We're all coaching geeks. We love to talk about
Yeah,
coaching,
exactly.
So we make it fun, you know?
Definitely.
Has anyone here done mentor coaching before that you want to speak to? Yeah, why don't we hear from you? What's your experience?
Nancy?
You're on mute. Nancy? Yeah.
I just unmuted, yes. So, yeah, I enjoy doing mentor coaching at the different levels. And I think what I love about it is the enthusiasm of this new coach at whatever level they're at, right? To do well and to really achieve what they've started to study. And I love that enthusiasm, and I love that new freshness, and then taking them to whatever level they're able to go is just incredible. So I enjoy it. It's a real service, I feel, that I'm doing for the profession.
Nancy, has your mentor coaching been in a group setting?
No,
One-on-one?
no, I do individuals one-to-one, yes.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Kristen, you had your hand up, and I know you've done mentor coaching as a mentee, right?
Right. I was taking it from the mentee perspective. I had a fantastic mentor coach, and it was Laura Atwood. I might just mention that. Yeah, I remember like thinking, okay, so what's this going to be beyond what we already did? And really, the focus on the markers was really helpful. And I remember a distinct moment in mentor coaching. It was like, oh, that was really important, you know? So there was just a deeper learning there. And I think it also helped solidify like the cohort we were with too. And we've spent time staying in touch. And that was a really helpful thing as well.
You know, we all have blind spots as coaches. We get into habits. We get into, you know, what starts to feel comfortable. And I have people come in for mentor coaching who've been with me, and they come in for touch-ups. You know, it's like, I really need to shake my coaching up a little bit. I've gotten into a rut. I'm not seeing the dynamic results with my clients that I'm used to seeing. And so, you know, just partnering with your mentor coach to go, oh, I wonder if, you know, you're seeing this. This is what I'm seeing. Maybe we could talk about another way for you to approach this. It's just really helpful.
There's a question here, Laura, I'm going to address to you because you're MCC. It says, does a PCC going for the MCC need a mentor coach who is an MCC, or can a PCC mentor coach any level?
No, if you're going for the MCC, you need to have an MCC mentor coach for it to qualify. And also because you want to know that you're working with somebody who's already achieved that and knows what it entails.
Right. Okay. Any other questions from anyone attending here today?
I have a question, and this is Andrea, and sorry, I'm not camera ready today, but I also have a perspective to share from the position of being a mentee. But my one question is not really for me specifically, but it just occurred to me based on what James was asking, was is there any kind of restriction as to when you can do your mentor coaching? I know you can have more mentor coaching than the minimum required 10 hours. So would there be any benefit to a coach who wants extra mentor coaching to be really getting it right along the way once they have that 30 hours of training, and then to be supporting themselves with extra mentor coaching along the way? Or do they have to have it only after they've completed their training?
It's a great question. No, you can start it. You can have extra hours. The mentor coaching hours do not expire. So, you can keep track of them from your multiple sources. So that's my understanding of the whole process after asking the question of ICF once upon a time. So,
Excellent.
Carrie, let me ask you, sorry to just interrupt here, Andrea, because with the PCC level, when people are doing a renewal for PCC, they don't have to have the 10 hours of mentor coaching. Can you say a comment about that?
I talked to the ICF about that, and the requirement for ACC renewals to get the additional 10 hours of mentor coaching, because I asked them about that. Why is that only required for an ACC renewal and not a PCC renewal? And the answer that I received from the ICF person was that they really want to make sure that the ACC person is still engaged in coaching. Because sometimes somebody's sitting with an ACC credential who chooses not to go on to the PCC. They just want to make sure that when they renew that ACC credential, that particular person is still involved with coaching.
Okay. Sorry.
And I'll add there too, because I think there's sort of a legacy there. When the ACC was created, there was a sense, in fact, that there was a discussion about should this be a time-based credential that would require people to move on after a certain amount of time, because there was discussion of it almost like in a guild sort of sense, where the ACC would have been like an apprentice level, PCC like journeyman, and then you've got the master. And so there was a sense of wanting people to move up in their professionalism. There's no accident behind the names of the credentials, right? So there was a desire to make sure that those ACCs are continuing to grow themselves and move up in their capacity to create the kind of change that we're on board for as coaches, right? So.
Okay. Andrea, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. The other thing I wanted to just share as my own experience of being a mentee coach, it so happens that Carrie Doubts and I know each other from when neither of us lived in Arizona. And Carrie was coincidentally my mentor coach, though it had nothing to do with our relationship to ICF Arizona. And it was a really spectacular experience. And I didn't know what I didn't know going into it. And I learned so much about my own coaching and professionalism. And one of the big things it really helped me with, I ended up doing at least 2 rounds. So I ended up with at least 20 hours of mentor coaching. One of the big benefits for me was learning how to streamline my coaching and really practice my laser coaching into shorter sessions. Because you might be able to tell already, I tend to be verbose and talk a bit. And so, the mentor coaching really helped me to streamline my coaching and my questions and get over my bad habit of stacking questions. And it really helped me deepen my mastery as a coach, so much so that I'm considering enrolling in the program just to keep sharpening the saw.
Fabulous.
Now, I would always recommend that mentees try to practice in 30-minute sessions. When you have the luxury of an hour, then you can develop some bad habits. But if you've got to create results in 30 minutes, that's going to create the discipline that you need to improve your coaching, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that people start to when they start the mentor coaching, because we do the 30 minutes, they go, 30 minutes, how am I? Like, well, you'll know how to do this at the end. And so it is helping people understand the structure, you know, the beginning, the middle, the end. Where are you in that process? Being able to figure out where you are and where you need to go. You know, it's really important, I think, for everyone to experience that and to sort of let go of this idea that they need these massively long sessions to be able to get the results.
Well, and when I was getting my credentials, an assessor told me, she goes, no matter how good somebody is, when they go over the 42-minute mark, it goes to heck. And so it's kind of like that's what her observation was. And then I think also everybody has a bugaboo, and mine was contracting. I spent hours and hours on contracting and listening to a coach, master coach, contract over and over again. And so I think that that's part of just being aware, because we're only strong as our weakest link and the little bugaboo. And then y'all have to put the bow on the present at the end, like, and so everything's going really, really, really good. And then you've got to turn around and get some kind of commitment or review. So anyway, somebody was saying, can you please review the mentor coaching program? And yes, we'll give you some at the very end. So Carl, does anybody have any questions? I know Carl has a couple too to follow up with.
I had a question. This is Sydney. It's kind of piggybacking on what Andrea said. So I'm kind of looking at this to sharpen the saw as well, not necessarily, like I just like staying in the game. And so I'm kind of curious how you see the sessions playing out. Like what the structure would be, what you would see us doing.
Well, let me, Sydney, along with that, let me just ask the coaches, you know, we talk a lot about having certain frameworks to kind of get perspective and build within and all that. So maybe the framework of all this too could be talked about. What are the different frameworks and why and all of that? Any one of you coaches like to answer?
Each of us in the program will be using our own approach, probably typically that we pull from our usual individual programs. So there will probably be some differences, but I imagine all of us will be referencing the competencies, the ICF competencies. I typically, because we're in that transition phase, look at both the old and the new competencies. Right. And the PCC markers. In my own program, I also bring in, I wrote an ebook on 6 key coaching opportunities. And that's another lens that we bring to look at, because those key opportunities map to competencies as well, but they're about helping coaches to decipher what clients need most from the coaching session to session and overall. And so in my program, it's 6 sessions, 6 key opportunities. So we look through that lens as well. I don't know if I'll be using that in this program since I'll be doing basically 1 session, but those are the frameworks that I bring. How about the 2 of you?
Yeah, I will be, this is Melanie, I will be a little bit more on the skill building. So if it's a 2-hour session, some skill building around active listening, powerful questions. Those are ones that I typically have a lot of passions for. So I have kind of some cool skill building drills, if you will, and some breakouts that we do, and then do some coaching, listening to a coaching session or 2.
And I should say in mine, you know, since we've each already sort of chosen our focus for our sessions, you know, you heard that Carrie's going to be looking at ethics and skill building for Melanie. In my session, my intention is to look at the new competency of the coaching mindset, and particularly as it relates to managing our emotions, and also evoking awareness, which is also brings in a lot about emotions, dealing with strong emotions in coaching, because that's something that scares a lot of coaches. They don't know what to do with it. And looking at how do you manage that while staying on the coaching side of the coaching therapy continuum, right? Getting real clear about that.
Yeah.
How about you, Carrie?
I am going to be focusing a little bit on the ethics side, and a lot of the focus that I do with my mentees is around presence, and it's around you know, a lot of what Laura was sharing there. You know, really focusing on the presence, the creating awareness part, and also really being clear with the mentees on that that line between the therapeutic and the coaching roles and responsibilities. Oftentimes, yes, as Laura was saying, people just want to avoid emotions altogether. However, this is part of a presence-based coaching. People are people, and they're going to have feelings about what's going on for them. So we don't want to divorce our conversation with our clients from the field of their feelings. So the core energy of the client and the ability for them to shift is going to be in that realm. So I really help my mentees in that area as well.
Yeah, if I can just add one thing on that too. I mean, I think, you know, I really ascribe to what Pam McLean says, you know, who you are is how you coach. And so that when we will work with several of you on some of those one-on-one sessions, really getting a deeper dive in who you are, right? What your values are as a coach, and understanding that and listening to those coaching sessions.
Thank you. So the overall design is, again, a 2-hour session in September, a 2-hour session in October, one in November, one in December. And this is on purpose so that we can finish those hours for sure the 7 hours of group coaching before the end of the year. And then also it's all set up and great news for the other one-on-one to get a great deal on it. So Sydney, did we answer the question for you?
To a degree. So I'm just kind of curious, will we be doing live coaching during the group sessions? Will we be more listening to recordings, or is it more in our one-on-one sessions?
Who wants to take that?
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
We're probably all a little bit different. I'll just say for mine, it would be observed coaching. I love the idea of maybe bringing in a recorded session. So I've made a note of that, but it would be live observed coaching. We would figure out who's coaching whom before, so everyone is prepared. And then certainly at least 2 recorded sessions that you would provide me. If I was working with you one-on-one, we would split that and have those, you know, debrief during the one-on-one sessions.
Yeah.
Of you coaching a real client is what I meant to say.
Similar for me. In my session, we're going to do live coaching. So we'll designate a coach. Probably we'll have time for 2 coaching sessions. And in my one-on-ones, I will request that you provide a recording. So we're able to really dive into your coaching. So for each of those 3 sessions. Not only that, it gives you the experience of, if you're going for your initial credential, you know, you may have at the end of this a recording and a transcript ready to send and submit to the ICF. So I see that as a double bonus.
Yeah, totally. That's like the cherry on the top. It's like, you're ready.
So I have a question about the recorded sessions. If Melanie's going to require 2 recorded sessions for her one-on-ones, and Carrie, you're going to require 1, and Laura, I presume you'll require 1 in yours. 3. So is that 5 separate recorded sessions that you have to have, or are we using the same recorded sessions for each mentor coach coming in, or what does that look like?
You know, Carl, I wonder if it's time to talk about the program.
Yeah, I think the overview of the program might answer that.
So Connie, why don't you do the overview? You've got that down, I think.
Okay, so we need to have 10 coaches sign up. So right now you can go register to be on that wait list, and then we'll let you know in order to make this. So the goal is to have 10 coaches to go through this. And then it's over a 3-month period of time, because the rules and regulations require it being over the 3-month period of time. So when we get those 10 coaches, we're holding it high. Starts next Tuesday, September 15. And Laura is the first mentor coaching up, and she just shared what she will be covering. And it's a 2-hour session. So it's from 10 to noon. And they will, so they're in the, okay, and then the next session is October 13, and that will be Melanie, and she just shared it's going to be skill building. And then Tuesday, November 10 will be Carrie, and it'll be a 2-hour session. And then on December 15, it's going to be 2 hours, and all 3 of the mentor coaches are going to come back together and design the grand finale. So you'll leave there with 8 hours of the coaching. Then in order to get the mentor coaching, you will have to engage one of the mentor coaches or somebody that you choose to. We're hoping that you choose one of these, and then they're going to do the one-on-one with you. So you have to have 3 hours of one-on-one coaching. And normally that runs about $1,500 when you do the research. And they have agreed to do those 3 hours of individual coaching for $750. So you will be contracting for that individual mentor coaching with your own individual coaches. So it's $495 for the 8 hours of the group mentor coaching. And again, you do the pricing, and this is about half of the financial investment if you go another route. So what have I not answered for you?
So Pat, basically you would engage with either Carrie for all the one-on-ones, Laura, or myself for the one-on-ones.
And we'll try across our 3 sessions to have different people being sort of the person in the seat for the coaching, right? Spread it out across the cohort.
Yes, so they're going to monitor that, and so that throughout your sessions that you will have an opportunity to do what you want to do in that regard. So we've got that covered.
Is there a vision of doing this again after the first of the year for those that either aren't ready educationally or financially to participate in this one?
Well, we're certainly looking at that and want that. We're visionary people, as you know, and we like to look ahead and feel that's the right thing to do. But the reality is we need 10 for this fall. If we don't get 10, we won't be able to do it. It's just the way things work out.
Yeah, so we'll have a list, and yes, I know Andrea as president-elect that see as far as a special programming for next year, because we're here for you. Where is the demand? And you can even go and take a look at ICF Los Angeles right now, that they're doing a program like this. And I can tell you it's double the financial investment. So Pat, yes, we're here to serve you, and we'll keep a wait list. And so even if you let us know, if you go, you know what, I'm not ready right now, but I want to be on that list, you can go ahead and just let us know, and we'll definitely put you on that list. So Linda, yes. So
yes, 12:45. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Andrea, is it possible to sign up for group coaching and not the 3 one-on-ones? Yes, so if you want the group coaching, you can sign up for that. And if you don't need the individual coaching, then you don't have to engage with the individual coaching, but to be involved. So yes, 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 that's a very good point there for skill building.
Okay. Well, actually, if there are no more questions, I could ask questions. I've got a lot of questions all the time. Probably ought to just close out unless anyone else has any questions.
I have another question. Is this open to only ICF Arizona members, or can we invite friends from who knows where?
Invite your friends.
Yes, please. Please.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
yes.
virtual world we're all in now.
That's right.
Right.
Let's have some international folks while we're at it.
Yeah, so please feel free to spread the word. And we have a sense of urgency here as we're ready. We want to start next Tuesday, the 15th. So, yes.
And the reason for that is because we know there are probably going to be some people who have credentials expiring or want to get their applications in by 12/31. So
That's right.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? This is Cheryl Wilson. I would be going for my MCC. And so based on what Laura answered before, the only mentor coaching that would support that would be what Laura would offer. So if I joined the full group, would that really count as mentor coaching for me if it's not all done by MCCs?
Nope.
we could probably attest to, you know, the 2 hours with me plus the one-on-ones, and you might have to augment that with additional one-on-ones or something to meet that requirement. So right. the sessions with Carrie and Melanie might not count in your case.
Okay. Well, but your December session would too, right? Since you're there, Laura.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point.
So it would give 4 hours maybe.
Yeah.
4 group and then 3, so you'd only need 3 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Additional, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Well, Connie, you open. Do you want to close out?
Well, yes. So thank you very, very much. So I'm going to go ahead and put this link in the chat box, and you can go over there right now and put yourself on that list. We already have 1 so far, and there may be more as of right now. So to put yourself on the list, and you can, do you want me to read a line or debrief? Just close the meeting. So Carrie, do you have to scoot? Oh, okay. So thank you for being here. And this is really, really exciting as far as skill building. And we're just happy you're here, and we'll be able to answer any questions. You can either reach out to me or Carl. You can even go to ICF, what is it? What's the contact? Oh, contact at icfarizona.org, and then you can send an email there, and Carl or I will get right back with you on that. So yeah, thank you. So if the mentor coaches, if you would just stay on, we'll do a quick debrief as we always do, and thank you for being here. And so other than that, I guess we're over and out, huh?
Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so how'd that go?
It felt good to me. How about you?
Yes, indeed.
It did. And so what I'm going to do, let me just stop the recording here.